Mastery does not begin on the battlefield. It begins in the silence before the war, in the early hours when the world sleeps and you rise. It begins when you choose discipline over distraction, purpose over comfort, and clarity over chaos. You can only fight the way you practice. That is what Miyamoto Musashi believed, and he lived it with every breath, every cut, every step he took alone on the path of self-mastery. He was not just a warrior. He was a living embodiment of what it means to master your mind, your habits, and your emotions until you no longer need to force respect, it flows to you. He trained not for the moment of battle but for the way of life, because to him, the way is in training. You are about to learn what it takes to live with that same fire, that same ruthless discipline, that same refusal to be weak. But before we begin, do one thing. If this message speaks to you, if you are tired of being ruled by your emotions and want to master your life one brutal lesson at a time, then subscribe to Stoic Legacy. It is free. And it helps us reach more people who are ready to break the chains of mediocrity and start walking the warrior's path. Now let us begin. The first law of Musashi's mastery will change the way you live. Number 1. The way is in training. Musashi did not separate life from discipline. For him, the way you brush your teeth, the way you sit in silence, the way you prepare for an ordinary day, is exactly how you prepare for war. He believed that if you wait until the moment of pressure to begin training, you are already too late. His mantra was simple but severe. The way is in training. Every moment is an opportunity to sharpen yourself. Every hour you waste in distraction is an hour you fall behind in mastering your own life. He did not wait for motivation. He woke up with purpose. He did not ask for comfort. He rejected luxury. He trained alone. No master. No followers. Just him and the path. In a world where most people want fast results, his life was a declaration that greatness only comes from relentless repetition. You do not need 10 hours of learning. You need 1 hour repeated 10,000 times. The modern world is full of excuses. You are tired. You are busy. You are overwhelmed. But the truth is, most people are just undisciplined. They have not decided yet. They dabble. Musashi never dabbled. He committed. He believed that how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you let yourself slack off in small moments, you will fail in the big ones. The way you train becomes the way you respond to fear. The way you approach a conversation, a confrontation, a challenge. That is why the strongest people have morning routines, not because it makes them feel good, but because it reminds them who they are. The discipline is the identity. He wrote, "Do nothing that is of no use." This was not metaphor. This was law. If it does not sharpen you, if it does not push you, if it does not help you win the battle inside your mind, cut it. Your social media habits, your excuses, your laziness, your need for validation, none of these serve your path. Cut them. The battle is not against the world. It is against the part of you that wants to give up. He understood that most enemies are invisible. You will never face them with a sword. You will face them in bed at 5 a.m., when your mind tells you to sleep more. You will face them when you are tempted to scroll, instead of study. You will face them in your quiet choices. That is why training must become who you are. Not a task. Not a chore. But a way of breathing. You do not need to be perfect. But you do need to be consistent. If you cannot control how you wake up, how will you control how you fight? If you cannot control how you eat, how will you control how you speak under pressure? Musashi knew that excellence is not an act. It is a habit. And habits are forged by fire, not by feeling. So ask yourself one question. Are you training today like your life depends on it? Because it does. That is the first law. The way is in training. Without it, you are already defeated. Number 2. Discipline over emotion. Musashi did not live for approval. He did not train to impress others or to feed an ego. He trained to conquer himself. He understood something that most people still struggle with today. Emotions are dangerous when left unchecked. He saw that the man ruled by emotion is a man already defeated. Anger clouds judgment. Desire weakens resolve. Fear paralyzes action. But discipline, that is clarity. That is strength. Most people live like slaves to their moods. If they feel motivated, they move. If they feel tired, they stop. If they feel discouraged, they give up. Musashi rejected that. He believed that the disciplined mind acts regardless of feeling. It does not negotiate. It does not ask permission from emotion. It moves. Even when it hurts. Even when the world says no. Even when no one is watching. He wrote that you must accept death in your heart every day. That sounds dark until you realize what he meant. Death is not just the end of life. It is the end of fear. The end of hesitation. The end of emotional weakness. When you accept that everything can be taken from you, you stop clinging. You stop begging. You become clear. You become dangerous. In the modern world, we are taught the opposite. We are told to chase comfort. To indulge emotions. To be reactive. To let feelings guide our path. And yet, those who follow that path always end up lost. Broken. Dependent. Weak. Because feelings are temporary. But discipline builds permanence. Musashi's life was proof. He did not rely on inspiration. He relied on structure. He built a fortress of habit so strong that even when doubt screamed in his head, his body moved anyway. Most people want motivation. What they need is structure. A system. A code. You do not win battles by hoping for the right mood. You win by building discipline that is immune to mood. This applies to everything. Business. Art. Training. Relationships. Your success is determined not by how you feel, but by what you do despite how you feel. That is why Musashi could step into duel after duel with absolute calm. Not because he was fearless, but because he had trained himself to act without waiting for the perfect feeling. And this is what separates the master from the amateur. The master still feels fear, doubt, frustration. But he moves anyway. He acts anyway. Because his identity is forged in discipline, not emotion. If you want to master your life, you must first master your emotions. Not by ignoring them, but by placing discipline above them. Use feelings as signals, not commands. Let sadness remind you to rest, not to quit. Let anger sharpen your focus, not blind your aim. Let fear prepare you, not control you. You are not your feelings. You are your actions. Musashi lived that truth every day, and that is why he was unstoppable. Discipline is not just a habit. It is armor. And if you wear it daily, nothing can break you. Number 3. Adapt like water, endure like fire. Musashi was not just a master of the sword, he was a master of response. His greatness did not come from following rigid forms or rehearsed patterns. It came from being able to adjust, to adapt, to respond to chaos without losing his center. He taught that water is the ideal. Water adapts. It bends. It flows. It finds its way around rock, over mountain, under obstacle. It never breaks itself trying to force a path. It adjusts, and in adjusting, it endures. This was Musashi's mindset in battle and in life. He didn't cling to fixed techniques. He studied his opponents, he observed their mindset, and he changed his tactics accordingly. In the duel against Sasaki Kojiro, he showed up late. He used a wooden sword. He threw off the timing, the rhythm, the psychological state of his enemy. He did what no traditional samurai would do, not because he lacked respect, but because he understood something deeper. To win, you must control not just the blade, but the moment. And to control the moment, you must be adaptable. In today's world, most people are rigid. They hold on to outdated plans. They cling to certainty. When life shifts, they panic. When things break, they freeze. They are brittle, and brittle things snap. Musashi teaches that life rewards those who can bend. But bending is not weakness. It is intelligent strength. He also knew that fire is just as important as water. Fire is about pressure. It's about staying in the fight when things get ugly. When fear screams, when pain tightens your chest, when everything feels like it's falling apart, fire is what keeps you standing. Musashi endured brutal wars, loneliness, hunger, rejection, and more. But he never lost his path because the fire inside him burned stronger than the storms around him. If you want to master yourself, you need both. The fluid mind of water. The fierce heart of fire. When challenges come, do not resist blindly. Observe, then adjust. Change your strategy, shift your timing, try a different approach. But when you decide, when you commit, burn like fire. Don't stop. Don't doubt. Keep moving. Musashi survived not because he was the most brutal or the most talented, but because he never stopped learning and he never stopped enduring. That is the duality. Be soft in mind, hard in spirit. Move like water, stand like fire. It applies to everything. A relationship that fails may not need more emotion, it may need better adaptation. A career that feels stagnant might not need motivation, it may need reinvention. A mind that feels defeated might not need hope, it may need clarity. Musashi's life teaches that change is inevitable. But how you meet it is a choice. You can resist it and break. Or you can embrace it and grow. The choice determines whether you remain stuck in old patterns or evolve into something more powerful. To adapt like water is to remain formless. To endure like fire is to remain fearless. Together, they make you untouchable. Number 4. Detach from all things to control everything. Musashi understood a truth that escapes most men. Attachment is not love. Attachment is not strength. Attachment is dependence disguised as passion. The more you cling, the more you fear loss. The more you fear loss, the easier you are to control. He believed that if you could detach from everything, you could control anything. This was not a cold philosophy. It was a path to inner power. He wrote in the Dokkōdō, "Do not pursue pleasure for its own sake. Do not depend on partial feelings. Do not regret what you have done." These are not lines of a man who avoided life. These are the words of a warrior who faced life, felt deeply, but chose not to be ruled by feeling. He chose clarity over chaos. Stillness over indulgence. Power over pleasure. In today's world, people confuse love with possession. They confuse comfort with happiness. They chase validation from strangers, thinking it means worth. They attach to outcomes, to followers, to opinions, to status symbols. And when these things slip, as they always do, they crumble. Musashi knew that if you can't walk away from something, you don't own it. It owns you. His detachment wasn't avoidance. It was freedom. He fought without fear because he accepted death. He trained without distraction because he didn't chase luxury. He walked alone not because he hated people, but because he valued silence over noise. This mindset allowed him to remain unshaken in every duel, unmoved in every loss, and undefeated in spirit even when life turned brutal. If you want to master yourself, you must begin by letting go. Let go of needing to be liked. Let go of needing to be understood. Let go of comfort. Let go of the idea that anything outside of you can complete you. When you do this, you become dangerous in the best way. Because no one can take what you don't cling to. No one can break what doesn't fear being alone. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care from strength, not need. You love without chains. You act without fear. Detachment is not emptiness. It is fullness that does not spill. Musashi's life teaches that when you no longer need anything, everything comes with ease. You perform better because you are not anxious. You connect deeper because you are not needy. You grow faster because you are not afraid of breaking. The world opens to the man who walks alone and fears nothing, not because he lacks desire, but because he has mastered it. That man is not cold. He is clear. And in that clarity, he finds control. Number 5. True power begins where fear ends. Musashi did not fear death, not because he was reckless, but because he understood something most men never learn. Fear is not a warning, it is a weight. It does not protect you, it traps you. Every time you hesitate, avoid, shrink back, it is fear whispering in your ear, convincing you to play small. Musashi fought over 60 duels and never lost. But his greatest victory was not over his opponents. It was over the fear within himself. He knew that fear was the mind's illusion, a shadow made larger by inaction. He once said, "You must accept death in your heart every day." That does not mean to become obsessed with dying. It means to release the fear of it so that you may finally live. The same principle applies to every fear you carry. Fear of failure. Fear of rejection. Fear of not being enough. These are the ghosts that keep you mediocre. They stop you from starting the business, from ending the toxic relationship, from speaking up, from changing your life. But when you confront fear directly, something changes. You realize it cannot hurt you. You see that the pain of avoidance is greater than the pain of failure. Musashi walked into every battle already having accepted the worst outcome. That acceptance gave him peace, and in that peace he found precision, strength, control. In modern life, you do not face swords, but you face 1,000 invisible battles each day. The battle to stay focused. The battle to say no. The battle to make a move when your heart races. If you want to win these battles, you must stop negotiating with fear. You must look it in the eye and act anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is doing what must be done despite it. When you start living this way, your life changes. You stop waiting. You stop asking for permission. You stop playing the victim. Instead, you begin to lead. To act. To speak with power and move with certainty. You become the kind of person who others cannot manipulate, because you are no longer swayed by fear of their disapproval. Musashi teaches us that real strength is quiet, rooted in a man who has made peace with all possible outcomes. And that kind of man is unstoppable. Number 6. Mastery is not a goal, it is a way of living. Musashi never chased perfection, he chased practice. Every day, every duel, every breath was part of his training. He believed that mastery was not some final destination you reach when everything is perfect, but a path you commit to walking regardless of how far you've come. That is why he said, "The way is in training." It was not a metaphor. It was a lifestyle. He practiced with the same intensity in solitude as he did in battle, because to him, the fight never ended. The real enemy was not another swordsman, it was laziness, ego, and the temptation to stop evolving. In today's world, most people believe success is a milestone. A number. A finish line. But the truth is, when you treat success like a place, you stop moving the moment you get there. Your edge dulls. Your drive fades. And slowly, the discipline that got you there begins to rot. Musashi avoided this trap by turning mastery into ritual. He trained even when there was no opponent. He refined his skills long after others would have rested on their reputation. He knew that once you stop sharpening the blade, it begins to rust. This mindset separates the great from the average. The average person wants results. The master wants repetition. The average man works when he is motivated. The master works because it is who he is. If you want to rise above mediocrity, you must stop asking, "How much longer do I have to do this?" And start asking, "How much deeper can I go?" Excellence is not built in sudden bursts. It is forged in quiet hours. It grows in the days when no one is watching, when no praise is coming, when you choose to do the hard things simply because that is what you do. Musashi's life teaches us that your rituals shape your reality. If your daily habits are weak, your future will be fragile. But if you train yourself to show up, to push forward, to stay focused, even when the rewards are invisible, you become something different. You become reliable, unstoppable, disciplined. And that discipline, repeated over years, turns into power no one can fake. You do not need to be brilliant. You need to be consistent. You do not need to know every step ahead. You need to walk the path anyway. The difference between those who dream and those who lead is simple. One waits for permission, the other trains without it. Musashi never stopped training, because he understood that the world will always belong to those who are willing to sweat, to struggle, and to show up. If you want to become great at anything, stop chasing milestones. Start honoring the process. Mastery is not something you do. It is someone you become. Number 7. The final battle is always within. Miyamoto Musashi spent his entire life mastering the sword, strategy, and self. He fought over 60 duels and never lost, but the opponent he studied most deeply was not standing in front of him with a blade. It was the self inside him. The part that got tired. The part that wanted comfort. The part that feared, hesitated, and doubted. This final enemy is not loud. It whispers. It distracts you from within. And until you learn to conquer that voice, you are never truly free. Musashi's ultimate teaching is that every single obstacle we encounter in the external world is a reflection of the unresolved war happening inside us. If you are distracted in life, it is because your mind is undisciplined. If you are afraid of failure, it is because your heart is still attached to comfort. If you constantly seek validation, it is because you have not learned how to stand alone. He realized that the most important victories are silent. There are no crowds. No applause. Just you, in the dark, choosing discipline over ease, choosing focus over comfort, choosing growth over ego. When he wrote his final work, Dokkōdō, or The Way of Walking Alone, it was not about how to fight others. It was about how to walk your own path without losing yourself. Every line was a reminder that the greatest danger in life is not the enemy who attacks you, but the one you nurture within through inaction, distraction, and emotional dependency. He wrote, "Accept everything just the way it is, do not seek pleasure for its own sake, and do nothing that is of no use." These are not abstract philosophies. They are rules of survival for the inner war. Because the moment you give in to excuses, attachments, or fear, you have already surrendered. In the modern world, we no longer fight duels with blades, but the war is still raging. The battlefield is your focus, your routine, your choices. And every day you make them, you are either training for strength or preparing for defeat. Musashi teaches us that it is not enough to master your craft. You must master your reactions, your habits, and your thoughts. You must become the kind of person who can be trusted by their own future. Someone who shows up without being told. Who builds their mind like a fortress. Who lives by principle, not impulse. If you can do that, then no failure can destroy you. No setback can define you. Because you have already defeated the only enemy that matters. In the end, mastery is not about domination. It is about peace. Peace with your decisions. Peace with your discipline. Peace with the path you chose when no one was watching. That is what Musashi found in the final days of his life. Not fame. Not wealth. But clarity. Freedom. And complete control of his own mind. That is the final lesson. If you can win the war inside you, you never need to fight anyone else again. So now the choice is yours. You can keep waiting for motivation. Keep chasing temporary comforts. Keep blaming the world for why you're not where you want to be. Or you can do what Miyamoto Musashi did. You can start sharpening your mind like a sword. You can build your discipline one habit at a time. You can look in the mirror and say, this is where the war begins and this is where it ends. You do not need to live like everyone else. You do not need more approval or more distractions. What you need is silence, structure, and self-respect. The path to mastery is long. It is lonely. It does not promise applause. But it promises power. And the more you train your mind, the less you are shaken by life. Musashi didn't win because he was the strongest. He won because he never stopped practicing. Never stopped observing. Never stopped sharpening the weapon within. That weapon is your mind. And when you finally master that, there is nothing and no one that can control you again. If this message resonated with you, I want you to do one simple thing. Subscribe to Stoic Legacy. That is all. No push, no gimmicks. Just one click to help grow a channel that is committed to helping people like you walk the path of mastery in a world that is addicted to weakness. Every subscriber is one more mind choosing power over noise. And if you already are part of this journey, then leave a comment. Let me know which of Musashi's lessons struck you the hardest. Because this is not just a channel. This is a tribe of warriors in a world full of wanderers. Stay stoic and build your stoic legacy.